Hi, it's Steve from PartSelect. Today we're going to show you how to put a drain valve shaft seal and push-on nut on your dishwasher, and it's a really easy job. All you need is a Phillips screwdriver, a small flat blade screwdriver, and a pair of needle nose pliers. Let me show you how we do it. Now on a built-in dishwasher you can access this component through the access panel at the front. We simply remove the two screws that hold that in place and pull it out of the way, and then you can access the component. On a portable, I found it a little easier just to disconnect it from the taps and unplug it and lay it on a blanket so that we don't damage the cabinet. You can also do the same with a built-in unit. Simply disconnect the power supply to it and the inlet water, as well as disconnecting it from the countertop and pull it forward enough that we can get it completely out of the cabinets, and then you can lay it over on the side. It makes the repair a lot easier if you have access to it from the bottom rather than through the front. And once we have it in this position, we're next going to disconnect that solenoid assembly from the pump. And to do that, we're going to remove a small E-ring on the end of the shaft. Just take a small flat blade screwdriver, pop that off. That will allow us to slide that cam off of the shaft. Now, there's a spring on that cam, so it's probably going to want to turn on you as you pull it out. You can disengage the hook from the plunger on the solenoid and pull the cam completely off. That will give us access to two Phillips screws that we're going to remove. That will allow us to slide the drain solenoid assembly completely off of the pump. That now gives us access to the push nut and the rubber grommet. Using a flat blade screwdriver, we're going to pry that push nut off of the shaft. Before you begin this repair, chances are that you're going to damage the existing one, so you probably should order a new one at the same time that you order a shaft seal. Once you get it away from the housing enough to get a pair of needle nose pliers under the edge of it, you can just pry that off the shaft. Try not to damage the shaft any, but worry not about the push nut. And just pull that completely off and discard it. Now that will give us access to that shaft seal. So again, with our small flat blade screwdriver, dig in there, pull that out of the housing, then you can just slide that completely off of the shaft. And we're going to make sure that that housing is nice and clean. You will have a little water leakage here at this point, but make sure there's no dirt or corrosion there. And then we're going to slide the new shaft seal into place. Now that new seal has a fine rib on one edge, and that's the edge that we will put on first. Slide it over that shaft. And make sure that we get that completely into the housing. You can use the edge of that small screwdriver. Just be careful so we don't damage the rubber. You just want to push that completely into the housing. Same time we need to pull that shaft out. Make sure that it's firmly seated. Now when we go to install that new push nut, we'll take one of those three slots on that push nut and line it up with the rib on the D shaft of that drain flap. Once you have that started on that shaft, you can either take a deep socket at about a 3/8 diameter socket and slide that over there to push it evenly on, or you can just use your fingers or even a pair of needle nose pliers. Just make sure that we push it on straight. sure that this seat's completely up against that housing. And again, we'll want to make sure that the shaft is pulled out completely. And that we push that nut on until we engage the groove at the very base of that shaft. You'll hear it snap into place. That'll keep that shaft from pulling out. Now, to ensure that that push nut is completely seated on that shaft, we'll take a pair of needle nose pliers and we're just going to pull out on that shaft, and that will pull it away from the housing enough that you'll see that there's a little bit of movement in it. At that point, take a flat blade screwdriver and just reach in there, make sure it's the rest of the way on and it's nice and snug on the shaft. Now we can reinstall the drain solenoid. There is an opening for that shaft, plus 2 openings for the screws and 2 further openings for these locator pins. So we'll line that up, set it into place, then we'll install the 2 Phillips screws. Next, we'll mount that cam on the shaft, and we're going to put the hub portion of it on first. You'll note that there's a D shaft opening in it with a spine on it. So we'll locate that on the drain shaft, just slide it part way on. Then we'll have to engage the hook from the solenoid plunger. And the slotted opening at the bottom of that cam. Once you've got that into the opening, we can push that cam completely onto the shaft. Then with a pair of needle nose pliers, we'll reconnect that spring. And now we're ready to put the E-ring back on the shaft. So we'll grasp that with a pair of needle nose pliers again, and we'll slide it under the slot on the end of that shaft. Now, once you have that E-ring lined up and started properly, you just reach in with your pliers, snap it on the rest of the way, make sure it's properly engaged in that slot, and again that we have proper movement of that drain flapper. And we're ready to stand the dishwasher up, reconnect the splice, and our repair is complete. I told you it was an easy job. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your repair.